Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, scholars and dignitaries, welcome to another episode. Welcome to my world. So I want to say that college is one of the best experiences you can have. Again, depending upon the college, the curricula, and the circumstances. College opens doors to careers and doors to life. College gives you a broad-based education. College lets you experience diversity of cultures and an ability to learn about other cultures. You learn skills, have a guided opportunity during the maturation process, and it expands your social circles. I am the person I am today because of both my undergraduate and my graduate work. So there are quite a few positives when one is looking towards attending college. But what college admissions officers will never tell you is that there are a lot of negatives as well. First is the cost. It's nothing for a graduate today to finish college with well over $100,000 in student loans. And this might be acceptable for medical school or law school, where there's a solid and quick return on your investment, but many college students are graduating from curricula such as women's studies, which aren't especially conducive to finding employment and leaves you in low-paying jobs with high-interest student loans. I know people who have worked over 20 years and have not been able to pay off their student loans. By the way, the average cost for a 4-year public college for tuition and fees, and not room and board, is $9,687 per year. And the average cost at a 4-year private school is over $35,000 per year. Again, just for tuition and fees and not including room and board. And that's over 260% higher. So right away, I suggest students look at their public options for college. And secondly, the inflation factor for college is well beyond any other good or service. On average, tuition tends to increase about 8% per year. An 8% college inflation rate means that the cost of college actually doubles every 9 years. And what's interesting is that although colleges are making more money than ever, especially with the endowments they receive, they continue to lay off full-time professors and hire adjunct faculty to save even more money. Being a full-time professor is fast becoming an extinct career. But there are a number of other issues that you need to examine before you decide if college is right for you, and some of these are serious and can have long-term implications. The second major item is the level of crime on the college campus. I visited one campus where the admissions officer was conspicuously silent on the level of crime on the campus. Interestingly, I know that that college was close to a major city and that there was an influx of non-students onto the campus nights and weekends, people who had no business being there, but who either were looking for a good time or looking to get into trouble. In fact, in one area, there was so much animosity with the college that there were constant fights between the students and townspeople at local bars and taverns. So one of the things you need to examine is the local crime rate and how it affects students. Is there a public safety system of lights and alarms throughout the campus? Is there a full-time security office? What is the crime rate? Believe it or not, 13% of all students experience rape or sexual assault on the college campus, and one study said it was closer to 20%. Assaults, larcenies, auto thefts, burglaries, and other crimes routinely happen on college campuses. In 1 year alone, 610 murders and 11,600 robberies were reported across college campuses in America. Now, don't let this scare you. Generally speaking, a college campus is safer than other communities, but be prepared to ask and make an informed decision. And by the way, check it out to see if this particular college is anywhere near the top of the list for the most dangerous colleges in America. The third item to watch for is to see if the college has a reputation as a party school where students pride themselves on the amount of drinking and partying that goes on. Even if it doesn't, you need to know that many youth are introduced to heavy and abusive drinking and drug use, not in high school, but at college. And this is often the place where people begin their lifelong addiction, and one of the primary reasons why the dropout rate in college is so high. It's been my experience that other than a general orientation as a freshman, few colleges give serious attention to this issue, and let me tell you, many alcoholics and drug addicts today began their journey back in college. Be careful. The next item is also as disturbing. America was built on several principles and philosophies. For instance, we've always believed that a country is at its strongest when it stands unified. United, we stand. And e pluribus unum, out of many, one. And that's our country's motto. But if a country is divided, we have a greater chance of failing and falling. Well, it seems that today the progressive and liberal views haven't just inundated colleges, but that has now become the norm. In other words, if you raised your children as traditional family oriented, respectful, non confrontational children who believe in family, God, and country, there's a good chance that liberal professors can introduce an alien ideology that can destroy that way of thinking, if not that way of life. We've seen it time and again. It's not a teaching about how others live alternative lifestyles or cultures, but an inundation and indoctrination that tends to turn minds against basic traditions and values held so dear for the past 200 years. There was one specific professor who was an English teacher, but took every opportunity to denigrate a traditional family with marriage between a husband and wife. And again, this was an English class, not even a philosophy class. In college, it's not like they'll just be exposed to new ideas and views, but inundated or indoctrinated in concepts and beliefs that you may find antithetical to your faith and life practices. And this has caused much needless consternation and stress between families. So be prepared, because you may just not recognize the student who comes home as the student who left for college only 4 short years ago. For instance, here is one group protesting a conservative speaker on a college campus by smearing fake blood on themselves and disrupting the event. But isn't it allowable to bring someone in to hear his point of view? And wouldn't a better protest be for these students to just boycott the talk by not coming instead of profanely disrupting it for everyone else? Fifth, one of the greatest problems with college is that they place no value on faith and religion, and in fact, undermine and subvert it. Youth who enter into college with a firm foundation in their family religion and practice will soon forget it, and even more so, reject it. This is a most unfortunate phenomenon. What's worse is how colleges themselves lost their way. Originally, virtually all colleges had a Christian basis. Of the first 108 universities founded in America, 106 were distinctly Christian, including the first, Harvard University, chartered in 1636. And in the original Harvard Student Handbook, rule number one was that students seeking entrance must know Latin and Greek so they could read and study the scriptures. In 1881, 80% of the colleges were religious and church related, and today there are still about 1,000 private faith based colleges. But starting with the modernist, liberal, and progressive movement in the 60s, any recognition or emphasis on a foundation of faith was quickly abandoned in public colleges, and today the only subject which has become totally taboo is Christianity. Be prepared because your son or daughter can have an excellent relationship with God when they leave for college, but return an atheist. And don't think this doesn't happen. It's also proven that religion continues to be a critical element in human growth and development. Interesting, but not surprising, one study released of 3,600 third year college students at 46 colleges and universities showed that students who are religious tend to feel better about themselves. They were more likely to have better emotional and mental health than students with no religious involvement. They are less likely to feel overwhelmed in college, less likely to start drinking beer, and tend to become more politically conservative. And students that attend regular religious services were more than twice as likely to report better mental health and less depression. Again, college kills. In this case, it kills religion. As for the college campus, in the late 50s and early 60s, there really was not much of a sexual problem on the college campus. That is, it was incidental. Girls did not stay in a male dormitory after a certain hour. Parental roles were enforced on the college campus, and young women were not permitted in the bedrooms at the male dormitories at all. Girls were even chaperoned on a date. The wonderful thing is that college really was an excellent place to meet people of the opposite sex, to date, and to try a relationship to see if there was compatibility and an opportunity for long term romance and marriage. At the end of that decade, though, all rules, prohibitions, and conformities came tumbling down, and contemporary coeducational college commenced along with cohabitation. As many as 1 in 4 women experience unwanted sexual intercourse while attending college in the United States, and tens of thousands may experience other forms of sexual assault or harassment. Today, women are not treated with the specialness or respect for their gender, nor are they courted for the possibility of being a future wife. They are used and discarded, hooked up with, and abandoned. Truly, college is a place which is not safe for teenage girls. It almost seems as if the colleges themselves have gone into the pimping and brothel business just to increase enrollment and cater to its clientele. Colleges were once, by proxy, an extension of parental responsibility and were charged to safeguard the youth left in their custody. But colleges have abandoned all the arrangements that society had once put in place to protect youth from these adult vices. And there is no doubt that young women today, as well as men, are far more vulnerable to sexual pressure, sexual persuasion, sexual abuse, and mistreatment than in previous years, simply because the college institution that used to protect young men and women has given way to the philosophy that anything goes. To colleges of this day and age, there is no right and wrong. Colleges have abdicated their responsibility, and today a parent should worry your son or daughter is not protected and may not be safe on a college campus. Thanks in much part to the sexual revolution and the adoption of sex by mainstream media, today sexual promiscuity has become a norm and the age of sexual innocence has faded from our culture. Sexual innocence is only in the movies of yesterday. Love and romance has been replaced by greedful lust and recreational sex. Sex now is expected to begin as young as 12 years old and continues through college years, where it's amplified beyond all expectations. On colleges, on spring break, the girls gone wild fantasy is proving to be more than any parent could ever anticipate. Invitations to naked parties on the college campus or love ins at rock concerts are only the tip of the iceberg. Group sex is more common than ever. And of course, through all this, marriage and family life, which used to start immediately after high school or college, continues to be postponed, badmouthed, and suffers in deterioration and decline. The wonderful bliss of marriage, with the many joys and gifts, has been replaced by a self centered, selfish passion of the moment. One study of college students found that 78% of the students had hooked up, not dated in an exclusive relationship, but hooked up just for sex, and the average number of hookups per student during their college career was 11 partners. No wonder loyalty to a spouse is on the decline. They learn it young. There are some other problems with college that people may not be aware of. One of the most problematic issues for parents sending their children to college is that after graduation, the children will find jobs in other cities and usually move away from home, often far away, where they can only return home once or twice a year. And this usually isn't a temporary move, like for an internship, but a move that will separate the student from his or her family permanently. And this is one of the most destructive dynamics to a family, to have a child permanently move away. There is also an emphasis for online colleges, but unless you are a well disciplined student with strong study skills, this is just a bad idea. At the very least, online learning doesn't have the face to face professional experience, and that's where you learn the intricacies of a subject by listening to, questioning, and conversing with a content expert. Online college does not provide the same level of education as personally being in attendance. Students today are not graduating from college. Just 2 of every 5 students that begin college complete their college studies and receive a degree within 4 years of college. More and more people are taking 5, 6, 7, and more years to complete college. Oh, and one more thing. Having a college diploma doesn't mean you'll be able to find a job anymore. The value of a 4 year degree has dropped. About 40% of recent college graduates are unemployed, and many take a job outside of their field, and so they're underemployed. And finally, students away at college may start to suffer emotional problems without their parents' knowledge or help. They can become anxious, depressed, fall behind on their studies, or even fall into alcohol and drugs, and you won't know and be able to help them. Do you know that suicide is the second highest cause of death on college campuses, and that about 43% of students have been diagnosed or treated for depression? It's too easy for a college student to lose their way, sleep late, party hard, and live a sexually loose and immoral life. Exactly what you fear the most. So, what's the answer? On the one hand, college is the key for education, and that's the key for a better future for students and their families. But on the other hand, there are many traps and pitfalls that students can easily fall into, especially since colleges abdicated their responsibility as an extension of parental protections and turned college into a liberal cash cow business. So the key is to be extra careful. And you know what? Maybe the best idea is for children to attend college, but to live at home. After all, they are still teenagers, and maybe there are things in the real world that they shouldn't be exposed to, at least not just yet. Hey, be safe, be well, and may God bless.